Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to the first transfer video of the summer. I hope you guys are keeping well and safe, and hopefully it's going to be quite a regular series. I'm hoping that it's going to be a busy summer for Wolves as we look to invest and strengthen this squad. Today I'm going to be touching on most of the news and rumours that have been in and around Molineux for the last 7 days or so. Of course, if you've got any questions about any other players that we have been linked to or spoken about previously, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll try and give you the latest in what's been said in the press recently. And of course, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new, guys. So we're going to start off with some news sort of in and around Wolves at the moment in regards to the Wolves squad. Now, Wolves released or retained list hasn't actually been announced as of yet, but what we do know is that Marcel will not be staying at the club. He's been in talks with Brazilian club Botafogo for some time now. He did make some comments about the club, saying he wasn't happy with a couple of things that were happening behind the scenes. Whether that's just sour grapes, I don't know. But basically what he said in particular was that he thought that the club dented their chances of European football by bringing in or playing younger players. I don't know whether that means, not actually strengthening in January and bringing back younger players like Totti Gomez and so on. It was a little bit vague, but anyway, Marcel is going to be going. John Ruddy as well, a goalkeeper that's been at the club now for about 5 years or so, pretty much announced on his Instagram last night that he's not going to be at the club next season. A little bit strange because Bruno Lage said he wanted to stay. John Ruddy last week said the contract was in the club's hands. So I don't know whether the guys higher up have sort of decided to move him on. We'll obviously be talking about another goalkeeper shortly as well. So obviously John Ruddy had been a fantastic person and fantastic person behind the scenes for Wolves as well. And another player in regards to contract talks is Morgan Gibbs-White. Has had a phenomenal season at Sheffield United, a fantastic season there. Of course, they just missed out on the playoff final in the Championship. Unfortunately, Morgan missed the decisive penalty. But it said that Bruno Lage is desperate to make him part of the first team plans at Molineux next season. Now, Morgan's in two minds about this because he's had broken promises at Wolves before. Nuno brought him back last season, said he was going to play first team football, terminated his loan at Swansea, and pretty much most of the time he was back at the club, he was sat on the bench. So that upset Morgan Gibbs-White quite a lot. He had, in my opinion, a strong pre-season at the start of the 21-22 season. Started off quite brightly, had a great game against Forest in the Cup, and then was obviously loaned out. Had a good season at Sheffield United. Bruno tried to bring him back in January. Morgan didn't want to come back to Wolves. So Wolves are now got to try and convince him to stay at the club. Now, he only signed a new contract last season. It's said by The Athletic that Wolves want to give him another contract, improve his wage, and basically say to him, look, we want you to be part of this squad. So it's a big one for Morgan. I think if he's not guaranteed to be a player that's going to be playing a large number of minutes next season, it's probably going to be the situation where Wolves will look to sell him this summer. But it's been, like I said, a fantastic season for him in the Championship last year. Adama Traore, Barcelona have decided they are not going to be triggering the buy option in the Adama Traore contract. So as of right now, he's going to be returning to Wolves. Obviously, only got 1 year left on his deal right now. So it'll be interesting to see what Wolves do. Can they convince Adama to stay? Or will Wolves cash in? Will we see some maybe potential swap deal? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, guys, what Wolves should be doing with Adama Traore, because it's such a interesting discussion when Wolves fans talk about this, because I think it does split the fan base a little bit in regards to Adama Traore, and I'm sure a lot of fans would have been intrigued and interested to see how we would have got on this season if Adama was still around. And very quickly before we move on to the transfer news in regards to the Wolves summer plans. So it's been teased and linked for a while that Wolves were going to be going over to the US for a tour. I was looking forward to it. I was looking forward to getting across to America to watch Wolves play. And quite last minute, things have been cancelled, really. So Wolves were going to be in a competition called the the Ohio Cup. And I think there was a couple of Spanish teams in there. I think it was Newcastle United in there as well. And that had been scrapped last minute, mainly due to the financial side of things, not particularly with Wolves, but with obviously the other clubs involved and the Cup in general. Wolves also had friendlies against San Jose and Louisville planned. They've also been scrapped. So now Wolves are going to be looking at a European tour instead, whether that be just a training camp, similarly to how they did it last season in Marbella, or whether it'll be a proper little tour, I don't know. But obviously Wolves are leaving it extremely last minute, especially if they're going to be wanting fans to go out there to see them as well. So we'll keep you posted on that one. But Wolves' pre-season plans, as of right now, are sort of up in the air, which is mental really, because you'd expect in the next 4 to 5 weeks Wolves would to be getting on the plane to get ready. Now we move on to the transfer news. Over the weekend, Journal de Noticias had linked Wolves with Vitória Guimarães midfielder Andre Almeida, a young 21-year-old who played very regularly actually this season for the Portuguese side, had a half-decent season. I think he played over 30 games, and Wolves are looking at a deal which could reach up to around €8 million with add-ons. Central midfield is obviously an area that Wolves will want to bulk out and strengthen. So, you know, I know a lot of people moan about this. He's a young and unproven Portuguese midfielder. But maybe it's somebody that's going to come in, be an up-and-coming star, maybe that's going to be exposed to Premier League first-team football and try and break into the first team. But we saw another story linked to that today, actually. It's from a source called 00 in Portugal. Arbola in Portugal had also reported on it and said, as well as Andre Almeida, Wolves are also looking at Vitória midfielder Guedes. Now, there's talks that Wolves are going to have a package deal for these two, very similar to how we did it with Pedro Neto and Bruno Jordão when we signed them from Lazio. We signed them both for a combined fee of about in and around 20 million quid. The paper is saying between 10 to 15 million euros combined for these two young Portuguese midfielders. Now, the interesting thing with Guedes is that he's not had as much first-team football this season as Almeida. And interestingly, he was previously linked with Grasshoppers. Now, if this is the case that Wolves sign him and loan him out to Grasshoppers, it's definitely possible. The one thing I would say is that from next season, the loan rules are changing. I believe Wolves can only loan 3 players, I think, to one particular club. So obviously, we've already got Young Sang Bin out there. Kawabi's going to come back. Bonatini's going to come back. So if, Wolves are going to have to be careful in regards to which players they're bringing to loan back out to Grasshoppers. But if Guedes is to come in and go out there, obviously it's going to narrow Wolves' options in regards to going out to that affiliate club. Maybe we see Wolves produce more affiliate clubs within this summer window. But yeah, Andre Almeida and Guilherme Guedes from Vitória Guimarães in Portugal. Now, another player that had been linked, this is from The Athletic. Wolves have reportedly held talks with Sao Paulo winger Marquinhos, thought to be a very, very high potential young player. Of course, winger is an area that at the moment Wolves are pretty heavy in, but we could easily see some players come and go from that position. However, it's thought that Arsenal are in pole position to sign the young winger. There hasn't been much more information on him as of yet. But we will obviously keep our eye on that and see if anything else comes to fruition on Marquinhos from Sao Paulo. One move that is gaining quite a lot of traction, though, is the young American goalkeeper, Gabriel Slolina. We spoke about him before on the videos. He's an 18-year-old goalkeeper currently playing for Chicago Fire. He's their number 1 goalkeeper right now. The MLS season has kicked off. And he's been playing regular football. Now, it was originally posted by Alan Nixon, a journalist, a couple of weeks ago. And he said over the weekend it was going to be in and around £10 million. Obviously, a lot of Wolves fans were disappointed because I feel we all know that money could probably be spent better elsewhere. However, the Express and Star jumped on it yesterday. They pretty much, said the report was true. Wolves were in talks with trying to pin Slolina down and sign him up. But it was only going to be for a fee in and around £3 million, which obviously sounds a lot more reasonable. Now, Slolina is extremely highly rated. It said that clubs such as Bayern Munich and Chelsea are looking at trying to sign him as well. So Wolves will obviously want to be trying to get this deal done as soon as they can. However, with the structure of the MLS, of course, their dates are completely different to the Premier League, for argument's sake. So they're sort of mid-season right now. So any deal, if it is done this summer, I would expect maybe him to stay out on loan at Chicago Fire until January. Or it may not be until January that Wolves get this deal done. But I think from my point of view, the club should really try and get this done as soon as possible, especially if these big clubs are chasing around him right now. I believe he was given a call-up to the Poland national team, which he rejected, and he has basically said that his preferred nationality is going to be United States of America. So we'll keep our eye on that one. This one sounds like something could happen. So 18-year-old goalkeeper Gabriel Slonina, keep your eye on that one. Another player that was linked over the weekend was the big striker from Venezia, Thomas Henry. 27-year-old forward, was linked with a move to Wolves by Italian journalist Matteo Moretto. Now, Henry moved to Venezia for one season only. He'd been signed by a Belgian club and joined the Serie A club this season. Unfortunately, they have been relegated. They finished bottom of the league, but he's still got a very decent amount of goal contributions. And we talk about maybe Wolves having a slightly different plan, a plan B. Now, like I said, Thomas Henry is a very tall striker. I think he's around 6'7" tall. But I've watched him, and of course, YouTube can always be very deceiving in terms of a player's highlights. But in terms of a hold-up player, getting the ball up to him, I think if you bring in some more prolific and more maybe ruthless wingers or inside forwards, I think he could work very, very well. He brings other players into play extremely well. But right now, it's early days on that one. We'll see if anything else is said in regards to Thomas Henry. A player that was linked with Wolves as well last week was Calvin Bassey from Rangers. Of course, Rangers had a very good season, got to the Europa League final, narrowly losing out to Eintracht Frankfurt. And Calvin Bassey actually played really well in that final. Now, Wolves aren't the only team looking at him. There's a number of Premier League teams interested, such as Aston Villa. Of course, Steven Gerrard going to be very familiar with him. That came from the Daily Record over in Scotland. I believe he can play left back or as a centre back as well. And we sort of don't really know Bruno Lage's plans, do we, for next season? It's still quite grey. It's a bit of a grey area in regards to what system and what tactics he's going to play. So it's quite hard to say where some of these players are going to fit into the team, whether Wolves play a back three and can bring Bassey in as a left centre-back for argument's sake, or if it's a flat back four, we don't know at the moment. But again, early days on that one. And another Europa League finalist was the Frankfurt captain, Sebastian Rode. Now, he was linked with a move to Wolves as well a week or so ago from Sport Bild in Germany. Brentford, I believe, are another club that are looking at him. He's 31 years of age now, so getting towards the latter stages of his career, but still plenty of experience, which I think at times Wolves have lacked a little bit of this season. So all of those, a lot of these stories are early days right now. I think the one that's probably got the most substance is the Gabriel Slonina rumour. So I'll keep you guys updated as much as we can. We've got loads of content coming out over the next week or so, so be sure to hit the subscribe button. Like the video if you haven't already, guys. Please do enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all very, very soon.